to be very, very, very honest, when I heard this, I was very worried. Very worried in a sense, say, why do you get to this point at this very, very short time? I didn't expect that we were going to be here, to be very honest with us, but it had come, right? But as an analyst, sometimes it's not we're now doing common, and you see if truly it's exactly what it is. We'll talk about all of these stories. I have a lot of them for you. We'll update some camp of Barcelona in the Spanish La Liga. We'll go around Europe and talk about all the leagues, of course. And of course, the big one with respect to Chelsea, Angel Maresca, Chelsea board. No, the details, and I gave you 2 bits, but in their details, a lot more of what the Chelsea board expect to do, what we expect from Angel Maresca from now to the end of the season, the plan going forward. Benfica game, of course, the one against Liverpool, and what Angel Maresca can do. Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. I've told you several times, this place is the best place in terms of football analysis. It doesn't get any better than it is on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So I won't subscribe to the channel. Now subscribe to the channel, turn the notification, in the notification turn, and do choose all, just so anytime any content drops, you are first to have it on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. And for Mana Bibia, and you come and for whilst you enjoy the analysis, every day in the description of the video, there are quotes that boom every time our description. So go under the description of the video and then pick up the quotes. Yesterday, of course, we couldn't bring it to you because there were no videos in the morning. But of course, in the evening, the videos did come. Go under the quote, the description of the video. Pick up the codes, go and put them in your Betway app and give yourself a big chance of winning something. I say on Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. Yes, start it. Just stick and stay because there are lots of them. I see. Let me say a big thank you quickly to Yeshimo Spare Parts Dealership Shop. In terms of spare parts, El Chroma City, Aboso Kind Post Office, and the best place for spare parts. Just call them on 059-313-8221. Wherever you are, Yeshimo deliver your stuff to you. Car Bia spare parts, especially the proper latest cars. Now he'll get it done for you. Of course, entire now pay. If it's clothes and apparel and out there, then there's my man MOB Clothing. A to-do a flower station and a MOB Clothing. Well, they are the best in terms of getting the best clothes for you. Just take their number now from 0200-668-708, 0200-668-708, and let everything go on in the right direction for you. See, and now this weekend, the big things that have happened obviously started Spanish La Liga in Madrid. They lose the Madrid derby, and then of course Football Club Barcelona also took advantage of it. And yesterday we spoke about how important it was for Hansi Dieter Flick and then Manchester to take advantage of it. This week, there's going to be a big Champions League game between Barcelona and Paris Saint-Germain. But this game is going to be without a lot of Paris Saint-Germain for starting players. For Barcelona, it's good news because Lamine Yamal, Ibanez, Nazraoui are back, and of course, after going on top of the Spanish La Liga, Lamine is in the best form. Best player in the world at age 18. He changes games in seconds. Against Real Sociedad, when it was 1-1, Barcelona set in Lamine Yamal, Ibanez, Nazraoui, and he was very, very important in that regard. And then don't forget that it was the very first time this season where Abrantia friend Wojciech Szczesny is being imposed in the absence of Abrantia friend Juan Garcia. And of course, he stood up to the test. He was very important. And they asked him after the game, say, Wojciech, what is going on? What's your thought process? Wojciech Szczesny said, don't say I'm happy for playing today. I'm sad for Juan Garcia and what happened to him. His injury changes everything. I hope Juan comes back soon to the goal where he belongs for a long time defending our colors. And see, I think that Wojciech Szczesny has been very, very smart in the handling of almost everything Barcelona. From the time Barca for friend is on Bambaye, a goalkeeper after the injury of Marc-André ter Stegen and Inaki Peña. When he came in, I think that he has understood the job that he had to come in as somebody who has to be more or less a backup to the main guys and never really moved away from what he has to do. He has never shied away from it. He's doing the job exactly as they wanted it to be. I mean, every goalkeeper in this instance will say, he's happy, say he's back into the pose and he has also done his job. No, he says that he understands that Juan Garcia will be going through pain and he wants Juan Garcia to be in. And in front of sports, the best team in the La Liga talking about Football Club Barcelona. Of course, the Madridistas will not agree, but then of course, they've gone on top of the Spanish La Liga. So maybe that's what it means. And I've said it several times, Madrid losing their grip on the Spanish La Liga title by not being able to beat Atletico de Madrid. And the truth of the matter is that going to the Wanda Metropolitana was always going to be a little more difficult for Football Club Real Madrid. It was going to be slightly more difficult for them. But that's exactly what Abantia, your friend Football Club Barcelona were able to do when they stayed at home to play against Real Sociedad. And to be very honest, Real Sociedad game was not an easy game at all for Barcelona. It was such a difficult one. It was a game where Barca needed to win. Barca understood that they had to win. And of course, they went in there and they got a job done. And Nancy Flick spoke about the game, spoke about a lot of things, slightly annoyed at the journalists at the press conference as they said they were finished before asking him the last two questions that were scheduled. Hansi Flick said it's wonderful to see players on the La Masia developing. Speaking about draw and then what draw brings to the team. Gerardo Martin, Singh, Hansi Flick, Frankie and Pedri are two amazing players and they communicate brilliantly. They know how to play together. It's great to see their connection on the pitch. That's what Hansi Flick echoed about the team, and how there is very good telepathic relationship. On the camp of Football Club Barcelona, everything seems to be going the right direction. Good stuff for Barcelona. And everything that they've gone on to do. After beating Real Sociedad, going on top of the Spanish La Liga, the results and its complexion of Spanish La Liga name. I like the reaction of Xabi Alonso. Xabi Alonso say the La Liga just started. And I think it's true. I like the fact that Xabi never really got ahead of himself when he was winning matches. The Madrid derby was always going to prove to be the huge test, the biggest test, the most difficult test for Xabi Alonso, and he had to stand up and get counted. I don't think say matching him. They played very well. It was just that certain mistakes, certain parts of the game slipped through the fingers of Football Club Real Madrid. Certain areas of the match, where Atletico de Madrid were better. If you look at that goal that Julian Alvarez is share from a set player, very important goal. But then again, it's a dead ball situation, and they managed to get a job done. This week, Madrid would have to turn their attention into the Champions League conversation when they go to Kazakhstan to go and play Kirat Almaty. I mean, that is going to be the longest journey at Madrid for Enya to travel away to go and play our Champions League. And of course, already Madrid are already on their journey, which is a Monday in Spain. My brother friend Franco Mastantuano, my brother friend Alvaro Carreras, all of them are in the Madrid contingent. Jude Bellingham, Dean Heitson, Vinicius Jr., Kylian Lutz, and Mbappe. Everybody is in the conversation of players no more Kokirat, Martino, Akoye, Juman El Honor. Very important in terms of the games now. The final La Liga standings after match week 7 looks like there's Barcelona on top, 1-6, drawn 1, lost none, with 21 goals for 5 goals conceded, having 19 points. So Barca for a goal difference of somewhere around 21, and then having goal difference somewhere around I think somewhere around 16 goal difference. Then there's Real Madrid also played 7, won 6, drawn none, and then lost 1. They have scored 16 and they've conceded 8. And that means that goal difference is just about 8. So not so good enough. Then there's going to be Villarreal, who has 7, won 5, drawn 1, and then lost 1. Something that Barca for Madrid know that if they want to catch Barcelona, they need to play better. They need to do better. They cannot afford to drop points. And that is how good this Hansi Flick Barca team here. They're so good that Opesa results if you're more there. Then you need to be able to play better. Our friend Eder Militao was going to be out and playing against Kirat Almaty match, our Champions League, in Kazakhstan. It's not going to happen. And Dani Carvajal, after the game against team of your friend Atletico de Madrid, went onto Instagram and said something about the Real Madrid team. And this is what Dani Carvajal said. Dani Carvajal said, not the results he wanted. There were things to improve, and we are the first to self-criticize. The way to keep working, learn from mistakes, and rise up stronger. We have a lot of season ahead, and a lot of goals to achieve. Hala Madrid, that's exactly what Danny Carvajal like can say, Charlie. There is a lot more to achieve when it comes to all of these things, and they believe that they'll be able to achieve them. Madrid for them, I've gone back to just go and prepare for the game against Kirat Almaty. Not a good weekend for them, but then it's important that Madrid for them will look elsewhere and focus on other competitions, which is the Champions League. First game against team your friend Marseille, they were able to win, and this time Madrid for them wants to. Eder Militao played the entire first half against Atletico de Madrid. After that kick from Solo, apparently Eder Militao was in pain. The pain became unbearable at halftime, and it was replaced by Raul Asensio, and that is where the goals began to flow in our home. Madrid for them don't want to make it look like a Raul Asensio no matter 70 BC. And of course, we come back into the English Premier League because this weekend English Premier League table has been very, very interesting. Interesting in the sense that the likes of Tottenham Hotspur, the likes of Bournemouth, the likes of teams be to say Ushe Tottenham Hotspur, Ushe Bournemouth, Ushe teams be to say team be to say which other team can get or English Premier League man? They are very comfortable English Premier League table. Exactly. Ushe Arsenal, Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Tottenham Hotspur, Sunderland, Bournemouth, Man City, Chelsea, Brighton, and Fulham are in the top 10 of the English Premier League, and that is the top half of English Premier League. And now the rest of the other teams are not there. Liverpool, everybody expected them to be leaders of it. Unless they can come back against Team Friend Crystal Palace and the unbeaten derby, a game where everybody felt that Liverpool for them risks losing their perfect record in English Premier League because Crystal Palace had already beaten them in the game that they played our Community Shield. Now, when they played the Community Shield, it was a draw. It went into penalties and Crystal Palace won. Now, everybody, when people were not speaking about the importance of what Oliver Glasner has done for playing in games, almost 18 matches, having not lost one. I mean, proper unbeaten record. Every match, Crystal Palace, Oliver Glasner is right there and he's making sure that his team is performing better. That's exactly what Abantia, your friend Oliver Glasner. And when Liverpool were going there, it was always going to be tough. And Osher match now, Crystal Palace won by 2-1. That sets the tone for Team Efreno Arsenal for match. We had Newcastle United, and I had an extensive analysis on it where I spoke about the fact that Arsenal always going away to Newcastle was always going to be tough because Arsenal have already struggled when they play against Newcastle. In the last 4 times, they've lost 3 of them. And now they're the very first time in 4 years in winning away at the St. James's Park. So it's always difficult. And everybody knows how Newcastle for now builds their team at English Premier League. They make it difficult for you to play against them. Understand? And of course, Crystal Palace have done very, very well. Now, the big one, Chelsea conversation. Man City are coming back into the fray. People have written them off. Man City, 10 points already at English Premier League. And it's very clear. So they are coming back into the fray in terms of winning the English Premier League and fighting for laurels. Now, the big one was Chelsea. I mean, that's why I started in the morning in the analysis and I said that I didn't expect people to say that, Enzo Maresca should go just after 5 games because what I think Enzo Maresca has done, how good he has done. Anybody that I see or blaming Enzo Maresca about where Chelsea are, maybe the loss na Chelsea is beginning to affect the person. For me, Enzo Maresca has done a brilliant job, and he has made some mistakes as well in these recent times. But then you have to look beyond that. I think that the season is just too young for anybody to think, okay, as a Chelsea, we so be post or so Chelsea in sack Enzo Maresca. And the business will come for and bro, say Fabregas. I'm so chief. I think the biggest issue of Maresca is the fact that he's a little bit inexperienced at this level and he's learning on the job. But then again, also say, you're sacking the same person who is inexperienced to go and bring another person who is vastly even more inexperienced than Enzo Maresca. That is for me unheard of. And that is it tells you about football. So where football has gotten to, people follow the game and essentially it's about results. And because the average fan in Nisika to a cherry ultra bet, the average fan in a coma in the day it's over big jana so you mistake me see in trouble. See, are those good results? No. Chelsea drawing against Brentford. For me, I felt that in Chelsea winning that game against Brentford, it would have transformed the team to a new level. Transformed the team in the sense that baby and that club no one they were doing very well. If that club no acco games are or lose 1-0 against Brentford, Chelsea last season probably would have gone through that whole game and lost 1-0. That was it. But Enzo Maresca gave them tools to turn the game around. Now, in the final few minutes over there, both defensive setup, I saw Senna Bernardo Cueva, it's a touchline one man the both we say not Brentford for no offside and then VAR did not check it well. But again, that is the things that happen. Sometimes these things go against you. Again, you go into the Bayern game. I felt like in the Bayern game, two things happen. Two things in the sense that one, the tactical setup of Vincent Kompany was literally spot on. Spot on in the sense that he exploited Chelsea tactically, and that's what Crystal Palace had done. That's what Oliver Glasner had done, and he won it. And again, it's a Bayern team that also has quality. Maybe somebody even say that they even have more quality than Chelsea Football Club. They're also playing at home at the Allianz Arena. Chelsea's first game in the Champions League. I've said several times, I don't think that is down to inexperience, because the goal Harry Kane scored, it's not down to inexperience. Reece James is Chelsea's most experienced player. That same ball where Reece James AJ Bono, Malo Gusto Bono, it happened to Reece James last season at Fulham, not against the best team in the world. All right. Again, you look at something like the goal that the own goal on Trev Chalobah. It was maybe when people do not pay close attention because maybe they didn't watch the game real time or post game. It was a dead ball situation, a free kick and a coco ball referee. Then they decided to restart Sabo. The ball went wide. Joao Pedro was supposed to close in. Joao Pedro's closing in wasn't the best. Less space for Michael Olise. The only time that I think that Michael Olise had proper space to himself was when Joao Pedro had to go and tackle him in that first goal. And of course, play the ball across the face of goal. Anybody that's played football before at centre back, if you've not played at centre back, if you're almost centre back before, that's where you don't understand what it means or how it affects you. The ball across the face of goal, there is that tendency to ball beats me about question. For me, that is it. And of course, if you look at a second goal, Moises Caicedo, it is the quality of Harry Kane that forced Moises Caicedo into that. But whoever you are, you can be the best DM in the world. You can be a better DM. You could have played 200 games in the world. That tackle is a tackle that if you don't take it, you do. Because once Harry Kane bagged him, it's either he fouls him or Harry Kane is true on goal. And Moises Caicedo went into it. So for me, I think that tactically how Bayern set up on the press of the ball, the aggression, all of those things were the difference against Bayern. And then you come back to play against Manchester United, a very tough game. A game that everybody knew that it was going to be tough. But again, for me, it was Manchester United. The start of the game, the rain. Yes, I mean, it sounds like too many excuses. The ball long. I think that Maresca's starting lineup was not good enough, especially in the context of not starting Tosin Adrabiayo, because Tosin is the player or what. So in a game like this, you play Tosin Adrabiayo to deal with the aerial duels of Benjamin Sesko. But again, Maresca doesn't start Tosin Adrabiayo, makes a mistake and wants to have people who are more comfortable and can defend duels and stuff like that, because I think that was his line of thinking. And then you bring Chalobah on, your boy aerial duel. He's not the best at it. Chalobah's worst attribute, aerial duels. He's not good at it. Everybody that knows Trev Chalobah knows that when you're good at aerial duels. Then Manchester United goes in a conversation of a red card. And yet, once Robert Sanchez said in the whole car, it was always going to be a red card. I mean, yesterday there was another bone of contention in the Arsenal-Newcastle game, but we'll talk about that later. Then a red card. Red card changes the game. The 4th minute, that is very early. I can understand when Obiaka said, at that time, Maresca has to be more calm. He has to be more patient. He has to wait and see if something can change in the game before pulling off, especially Pedro Neto. I didn't understand why he pulled off Pedro Neto, especially knowing when Cole Palmer was injured. So that is something I probably shouldn't have done. But in all of that, I think that at 10-10, Maresca showed why he was a quality manager and why he could go toe-to-toe with anybody. Oh, yes. Now, when that red card, then this weekend, everybody that watched the game, and the statistics do show, and I'm always very happy saying these statistics, remember, based on what happened before the red card, what happened after the red card, and it's based on what happened before the red card, everything was clear. Everything was very, very clear. Say the red card essentially affected the game for Enzo Maresca. and then the man on before the red card but Chelsea and I had the most possession, created the most chances, played the best game in terms of the quality. Chelsea's analysis, costly mistakes keep coming. Before the red card, Chelsea before red card, Eshe 1, shots on target, shots 9, Brighton 3, XG, and that's a quality of chance on creative and Chelsea 1.3 before the red card, Brighton, on creative a single chance, possession 70, and then of course Brighton 30 after the red card. Everything changed entirely. Costly mistakes and red cards make the story of Chelsea at the moment. And I think that that's exactly the story of the first half, the first few games that Chelsea have. But all of the games Chelsea have lost have come down to individual mistakes, lack of concentration and stuff like that. These are things that Maresca has to solve. They are personal issues. I think that it's easy to solve. It's just a matter of time. And of course, you go on and say that midfielder Santos was the prime culprit as Chalobah paid for trying to and failing to clean up for his mate's error. And that's true. I mean, Oshers are arguing against Brighton and Hove Albion. It's the same thing. Chelsea's player receiving the ball back to go. And somebody says, I think that's something that happens to Chelsea. That doesn't only happen to Chelsea. It's the general press trigger. Obia, especially at the highest level, will tell you. I mean, I remember years ago when I was with Coach Udin, Elkin Faisal, that's one of the things I always used to tell Coach. One of the things, we can decide not to press the whole game. But the about Coupe bit me pressing it. You bet me to do two things. One, say the opponent player an edgy ball with the back to go when he's zone more. It smells blood fast. You have to go aggressive because that's the point and you may lose control. Again, times where you restart the game and I say ball baby a corner to say the true line on no bit my box you be sure no watch the ball if you on those are the two places that Chelsea have lost the balls. But again, as a big team, as a team that wants to win, you can't afford to be making such mistakes over and over and over again. That is why I think that sensible heads are that. I mean, I don't think Bibi Gidi see. You need to build on that and then move on from it. But away from that, you have to focus on solving all of those ones. On the Brazilian midfielder, inexperienced, and that's the risk that Chelsea are taking by carrying the younger squad in the Premier League. Regardless, head coach Enzo Maresca will need to help his team cut out mistakes and the ill discipline and improve results just after one win in 5 in all competition. That solitary win, an unconvincing win against Lincoln in the Carabao Cup. The match aside, Chelsea gave away last-minute equalizer through a poor marking at Brentford. And at Bayern Munich, the Blues played well, but then gave away cheap goals against an experienced Champions League side. In the past league matches against Manchester United and Brighton and Hove Albion, sending offs have caused them. The issues at Stamford Bridge are worsened by a selection crisis, with Maresca now without 4 favorite centre-backs as well as star attacker Cole Palmer in the next match against champions Liverpool. Wesley Fofana, Tosin Adarabioyo, Levi Cole are all injured until after the international break, and Chalobah is now suspended also after the international break. We'll see how things are going to go on from there in terms of Chelsea games or English Premier League and how all of those things are taking a toll on there. Now, I think that was very, very good news. And I saw something that I saw something that I saw from I think it was William Baleg, and I loved Baleg. I love Baleg, what he said, because it's probably the most sensible thing to say. I understand said Baleg more pro everybody that comes from Pep camp. Baleg is, and I think that Enzo Maresca probably has hired William Baleg as somebody that is going to be his professional media person, right? And because William Baleg has done a very good job with Josep Guardiola, with Lionel Messi, and it looks as if William Baleg believes that Maresca will become a top coach. So it's something that Maresca needs. Sometimes in issues like this, especially in a place like England, who he have one journalist who has a bigger voice, especially worldwide, that can compete with the local English people. Now, most people have been spewing a lot of gibberish about Maresca, Seronico, Palmer, all of those things. People just use it as clickbait for people to watch their videos. Now, listen to William. William said, by who was asking for Maresca's head, and why would anyone listen to such gibberish suggestion? The analysis is analysis of a serious club, especially one that just won the Club World Cup, is at the end of a season as Sky cover says, if you want to find out where those that haven't have a clue are, check their TLs. They are demanding a manager go after 5 disappointing results. And I said it several times that Enzo Maresca, everybody knows the job that he has done. There are real issues over there. In Chelsea, for have given him the needed support that they want to give him. They think that Maresca is going to be a very good manager. They believe that Maresca is a good manager in that regard. And they have looked at it and they think that Chelsea is a man to go. Keegan, one other person that reports some very false news about Chelsea. Also, Chelsea's leadership team, led by Baghdad Eghbali, are looking at a bigger picture as they head into another significant week. I think that this week is going to be very important. The results Chelsea get from the game against Benfica is going to be very huge. Already, Enzo Maresca has already beaten Benfica El Club World Cup, but that was under Bruno Lage. So that is what gives me a lot of confidence. If it was the Club World Cup that Chelsea were, if it was still under Bruno Lage, would have still been more difficult. But Chelsea now have to come and play against Jose Mourinho. It's going to be more emotional now. More and more emotional now for Chelsea to play against them when it comes to the games that are going to go on for Club, your friend Benfica, because Jose Mourinho will make it emotional. He'll make it largely emotional. I say the target for Chelsea this season is to finish in the PL top 4 and have a run in cups. That remains very achievable. So Chelsea for have no issue. And for me, it is even disgusting for anybody to be discussing Enzo Maresca's head now. Anybody that's discussed Maresca's job today, whether it's under pressure or not under pressure, whether he is to be sacked or not, actually has lost the plot. Because I don't know how people analyze such situations. How do you play in games like this after all the Chelsea, Newcastle games that Chelsea have bought throughout the season from last season, and it's we're losing in the Premier League, about majority of them, all of them were red cards. So yes, he needs to solve the discipline issue, but you can't see this Chelsea team watch the first half against Brighton and say that Maresca Nyari into Soko. I mean, that for me would be very disastrous. Guys, let me draw the curtain on this morning's edition of Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. In the evening, in the afternoon, of course, about 11, we'll bring you some more. God willing, in the evening, we'll bring you some more Hi Fiifi-Manfred on YouTube. So subscribe to the channel, and Michelle. Subscribe, turn on notification. In the notification, turn it on. Michelle, do choose all. Just so anytime that there's content here, you are first to have it. See you. Bye-bye.